give them about, in theory, I give them about 4 hours a week, but in reality, it's probably about between 12 and 15.
Yeah, that's quite an issue.
I manage the LAN, I manage the Wi-Fi, and I administrate the Google Apps for Education suite of applications, which is GAF, as we call it.
Yep. Okay, could you tell me something about the equipment, the devices in your school? You've got 2 labs.
We've 2 labs, and interestingly, they're quite different. One of them is standard PCs, which are hooked up to the LAN, but they're also standalone. So if the LAN crashes or if the main server goes down, those PCs can continue on in isolation as individual clients. And there's 32 PCs in that room. We have a second lab, which is thin client server, which are what we call iGels. And they're basically thin clients. So there's no hard drive. They're on the network all the time. They're a lot cheaper. We've been using them now for about 2 years. We've had some difficulty in relation to load management, particularly when all 32 of them try to log in at the same time. But by and large, it's been a very good solution for us from the financial point of view. Also, we have approximately about 10 to 15 devices, a mixture of PCs and laptops for what we call SEN, which is special education needs. So students who need readers or who need they need individual one-to-one tuition can be brought into a classroom and use a device there. At the back of all this, we have our back office staff. I call them back office. They don't like being called back office, but it's school secretary, management team of principal and deputy principal, and they're all using laptops as well as PCs. So you probably had another 10 devices there.
And do teachers themselves have devices?
Yeah, the teachers. Sorry, I should have said that. The teachers themselves have been given a laptop by the school. Now that's not necessarily government policy or department policy. It's school policy. We provide a laptop for each individual school teacher, and then we give them access to the WLAN, to the Wi-Fi system. Each one of those devices, they're generally Acer small laptops, notebooks, and they cost the school in the region of about 350 to 420 euro, and we try to replace them once every 3 years. We kind of have it's like streaming. We go through a 6-month period where we'll replace maybe 10 or 11 of them. Then the following 6 months we'll replace another 10 or 11 of them. Back. There's no real structure or formality to the replacement process, I would say.
No, but it's an important thing rather than to face a massive bill.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a whole large numbers.
We budget for about 10 to 15 devices a year. We also have, on top of that, interestingly enough, we have a print system, which really I take responsibility for as well, but it's networked. So we have 3 networked printers in our staff room. Believe it or not, we go through massive amounts of paper. I'm sure it's the same in many schools, but really, it's interesting to see the amount of paper that is used in the staff room between, let's say, 8 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock before class time. But those 3 printers are big machines, and they churn out, I would say, thousands of copies per day, and they're networked up to our LAN as well. And I look after that as well.
Are they leased or bought?
The machines are bought. We don't have an arrangement where we pay per copy. It's just a maintenance contract on the machines themselves in terms of for toner and also for backup when the machines crash, or if they lose their IP addresses. Well, then somebody needs to come in and re-establish them on the network.
Right. And so that's the devices. The services running across your network. You meant
okay.
There's GAF and
we've Google Apps for Education is our main service that we use. We also that's used for teaching and learning. It's every single student in the school is allocated an email address. So we have a process for joiners, movers, and leavers. So, for example, we have 150 new students coming in end of August, and each one of them will have an email account set up for them before they arrive into school. And in the first 6 weeks of my subject, CSPE, we teach them how to use it appropriately. We have an acceptable usage policy associated with that email account. But also, we make use of Google Drive, which, when you're using GAF, you have unlimited storage. And a lot of teachers now are also using Google Classroom. So that's all within the GAFE, the GAF environment. On top of that, for content management and learning management, many teachers are using Edmodo. I don't know if you've heard of that, Roger, have you?
Yeah.
Edmodo is preferred primarily for its ability to mark quizzes and to manage assessment automatically. So a lot of teachers use that. We also have a system which is based in the cloud called VSware, V for Victor, VSware. And VSware is used by teachers for attendance, and we also input our assessments at the end of each term into that. It's used by the back office also for a variety of different things.
So it's a management information system.
Yeah, it's a management information system, exactly, yeah.
And what licenses do you have? Microsoft Office? Or?
We have Microsoft Office, yeah, but we're teaching ECDL, so we have a Microsoft Office license. But my view, and a lot of what I've been trying to do, is to move people off the servers and up into the cloud, and away from licensed products like Microsoft Office, and more towards LibreOffice / Google applications such as Google Docs, Google Sheets, presentation, because no license is needed for any of that, and it's free.
So you're saving money.
Exactly, but I mean, educational licenses in Ireland, okay, they're kind of a double-edged sword. They're reasonably cheap, but you have to still keep paying them year on year on year. So we kind of, I resent paying them, because you can get the same functionality within the GAF environment or within LibreOffice. But many of us are tied into using them because they're legacy systems and people are afraid to move away from them. So unfortunately, that seems to be the case. Participate in the school's broadband program, which again is provided by NCTE. And every secondary school, let's say from 12 years up to 18 years of old in Ireland, in theory, has access to the same program. And that's 100 megabits per second. And that's free.
I think other people will be envious of that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that
it's a fantastic service, but in order to leverage off that service and use it effectively, you need people who know how to get the best buck or bang for their buck within the existing LAN and within the Wi-Fi architecture, because that can seriously come down from 100 down to 12 if you haven't got the right infrastructure in place.
And what would you recommend to others to get the infrastructure right in order not to lose the bandwidth?
Well, I think a lot of schools, they don't have the network switches that they're using on their network are not gigabit switches, they're megabit switches. And the gigabit switches, sorry, you would get away with a megabit switch when you're taking data straight in, but when you're transferring over the LAN from the 100 megabit, there are times where you need fast switches. Basically, if you haven't got fast switches on your internal LAN, you're not leveraging off the 100 megabits per second.
So don't buy the cheapest.
No, really buy future-proof on your LAN switches. That's my advice. And the second part would be on the wireless access points. Make sure you buy wireless access points again that are capable of handling that bandwidth and that are able to automatically determine their own channel. I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about there, Roger, but
yeah, like there's 11 or so.
Some of the channels overlap. I think 6, 11, and 14 are the channels you're really looking at that are not overlapping. But some of the access points, you have to set the channel on them. With some of the access points, it will determine automatically what channel it should use, depending on the traffic and the movement.